Hey everyone, welcome to the Gamers Den. Today we're going to be looking at patches in games. Guys, these days it's you buy a game, there's a patch. A few weeks later there's a patch. A few days later, a few hours later there's a patch. It's becoming a bit of an issue. Garth, how do you feel about the whole scenario?
The thing is, I think back to when you play a game and you knew there was a bug back long ago, and it was just like, okay, just avoid that section or do something else because that bug is there forever. Then it became this wonderful thing of, oh, the internet is there and you can download a patch. And they were great. And then I think where the big problem comes in is that you buy a game, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna play a game. 10 gig download. And with our internet speeds, that's a lot. To America and whatever,
3 weeks for me.
It's like, oh cool, I'll go make coffee, come back, it's done. What I like patches because it means that the developers are still doing stuff with the game. If you look at like the Witcher, it's added a lot more life for a lot of people because they're adding extra quests, new item sets, things like that, alternate looks. If you're playing a game, suddenly an NPC has a different outfit. It just adds that little bit extra if you are going to dip again. And with Witcher, there's so many endings that you want to like try see how different you can make things end up. And then there's also the patches that fix things, which is what a lot of like our day one patches are. And yes, they're big, but I mean, there's also a lot of time where the guys are working after the disc goes gold, that they like, okay, we have so many months now, and we can work, so that when the game gets to the guy's console machine, he'll have the best experience possible. Witcher again comes to mind where, I believe it was the PS4 version was like rubbish if you didn't download the day one patch, and it was great if you had it. So there's an example of, imagine if we didn't have patches. Imagine if things never got fixed or improved and the only way to get more content in the game was to buy another game, and for that purpose I like patching.
So you think at the end of the day it's a necessary evil?
Yes, I think the big part of the evil for us is it's a bit unbalanced at the moment is because we have bad internet. If our internet was faster, we wouldn't care. But because it means that, oh crap, this thing is downloading, it's going to take me a week for some people's case, you have bad internet or slow internet or limited access and you're paying for it. All those patches are like, oh, this is terrible, I can't believe I have to do this. But if you have it, it's like, wow, they fixed that problem, they improved the frame rate, they added more content, they did whatever to give you better controls when you use a gamepad or whatever. There's so many things that patches can do that improve games, from balance through to fixing bugs. And I think that we need those things to happen because it proves also that the developers care. They're not like, okay, it's shipped,
And now it's over and it's
let me
done.
go count my money and have a holiday. These guys are like sitting there waiting to hear about bugs that they missed. Because like you think a big game comes out, say they have 20,000 people testing it for like, and each person plays for 2 hours. So that's 40,000 man hours of testing done, right? That's a lot of testing. That's what it sounds like, until you realize that the game sold 1 million copies and everyone's just played it for 5 hours. How many more bugs are you going to find?
Yeah, lots of fun to be had by the team. Garth, from your side, you've had your experiences with patches as well. How do you feel about the whole scenario?
It's a fine line. What a lot of us forget is that we into sort of the PS4, Xbox One age now, and we still sitting on Blu-rays. Blu-ray capacity is, dare I say it, last gen. And a lot of the developers have to fit certain content onto the disc that you buy, and they have to prioritize other things which they'll move onto a patch. One other way around it, maybe dual, triple layer Blu-rays, great, very nice. Quadruple layer Blu-rays, good tech that. But yeah,
Use piece.
you need to prioritize your stuff. But there's a lot of good in it as well. With Destiny, for example, it essentially is a patch. If you were playing on a last gen console and you want to now transfer all your stuff over to your new gen console, that essentially is a patch, and it's quite big. but it's actually bigger than Destiny's Day One patch, believe it or not. But yeah, no, but still, it's a great option to have. I mean, rewind it, what, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had that option at all. And it's good, but it's been exploited to a certain extent. But I agree with God, necessary evil.
And Jared?
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much said what I've got to say. So instead of me speaking, Garth mentioned before about Splatoon and the way they did it.
How they've implemented it,
I think it's an interesting way of...
A week-on-week thing? No, it's good. Plus, you can always get your current lineup for the new Liverpool squad. I mean, hey, that's a good... You get Aston Villa players in your Liverpool squad. That's an amazing patch.
Guys, I've got two things that's really annoying me with the whole patches stuff. Okay, and it's both happened on the Xbox One. Surprise, surprise. And the one was Ori and the Blind Forest. Okay, now Ori and the Blind Forest is not a massive game in terms of gig space. But there was
about 7 gigs.
Yeah, but there was a patch.
Which
there was
the same size
7 gigs. And I'm like, seriously, that does not make sense. And you redownloading the whole entire game and you play it like, I can't see what.
Well, the game couldn't have been more than 7 gigs.
The weird thing is that, I mean, I played it before the patch was even released.
Yeah.
And I had 0 issues with the game. So
Exactly. So
the patch
wow.
could've-
So there's those kind of things that you question. And the second thing is, if you look at the day one patches, if you take a prime example, is Halo the Master Chief Collection. Remember it was a 20 gig patch. That should
So when is that final patch coming out?
No, but I mean, yeah, you go. You've now gone to the shops. You bought your game. Okay, you go and you install it. Like, okay, I'm ready to play.
And it's absolute value
No.
for money. You are getting such a great package.
You are getting a great package, but the thing is, your 800 rand or whatever you spent, you're actually spending another 400 bucks to download that 20 gigs, and that's a lot of crap. That's something they have to stop.
Yeah, well-
Instead, they should have put in another disc that you install, and that's a problem solved. But they were trying to save money and pass the download on to us.
Well,
to spend it.
as Garth said earlier, it's very dependent on your internet. People with a better internet connection, you say, yeah, it's an extra 400 rand. No, it's not. But if you're really scraping by, then it could be even more.
But I mean, in terms of the Master Chief
No,
Collection,
100%, yeah.
I mean, people were in the States, everyone was complaining because it's a viable reason to complain. It's 20
No,
gigs, it's a full game.
I must say that, and
Yeah.
I'm the resident Nintendo fanboy here.
Yeah.
But I must say, I mean, yes, the Wii U is quite far behind what the PS4 and Xbox One are
Absolutely,
capable
yeah.
of. But out of all the games that I've played on the Wii U, and it's not a whole lot, but I mean, I do enjoy my Wii U, and all the games that I've played, none of them have had major patches, and none of the games have I had any problems with.
But
There
you don't
haven't been
think
any
it's
bugs, there haven't been any
format-
issues.
You don't think it's the format of the disc?
Maybe it is
Because
the
if you
format.
look back
It
at
could
the
be.
PS3 versus the 360, remember how we all complained about it?
Yeah.
Like the PS3 is terrible, like these big install files and
It was
big patches,
atrocious, it
and the
really
360
was
had like little 2 meg, 4 meg patches, and it was DVD versus Blu-ray, so Sony already bumped ahead with Blu-ray,
I mean, it could,
and
it
that's
could
not
be,
Blu-ray on
it
Wii.
could be the format. I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's also a matter of them finishing their games
Yeah.
when they develop
That's
it.
true.
When they develop it, they're not thinking, okay, well, let's do all we can now. The rest will patch in because they know we're not going to be able to patch stuff in. We're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
So it makes
And let's
them-
be realistic, there are a lot of sort of guys who will only have a Nintendo console, well,
At least 10.
maybe quite backwards, and they don't even have the console thing to the internet. You need to be able to play that game.
I think like Yoshi's Woolly World had like a 50 meg patch, which is
Which is like nothing.
nothing by
Which is-
everything
which is-
else.
So now my question to you all is that you look back in the past, so let's go to the PS2 days, when there weren't really any patches and stuff. I mean, in the States you could have the HDD with online connection, but I don't think there were patches. These games launched, and most of them were just about perfect, without any issues. What does it tell you about the testers today? Is it just that the games are much bigger and take longer to test?
I think
I'd actually agree with that, absolutely.
Well,
You aren't talking about your longest game isn't 10 hours anymore. It's
But so
So much
here's
more
the
than
thing though, why are the digital releases of games also needing to be patched? Because you can't blame the disc on that.
but they go through a similar process of having the files cached in every country.
Sure.
There's
So,
a
so
filing
if we
system.
move towards digital only,
Yeah.
is it going to reduce the amount of bugs and patches?
No, not necessarily.
I also don't think so. But it should.
Because the problem is you need to have, so I have pretty good internet, you have slow internet, and I put the download file for the game up on the internet. And in the meantime, I've made a patch for this file. The thing is, so I've downloaded it, someone else has downloaded it, whatever. You're still downloading it. So I can't go and change that file because it means that your whole download is now useless. I have to make a separate file, that's the patch.
No, but I mean in terms of the actual development. They should be developing games without issues because they can't use
Well,
disk
if it's,
space
well,
as
that's the point I brought up. You have to prioritize sort of disk versus
Right,
download.
that's
If
what I'm
it's
saying.
digital only,
If it's
then
digital only, that's
surely
really
I
an
think
issue.
that also points to like the time frame people are using for developing games. Maybe your publisher's always pushing for it as soon as possible.
Definitely.
And sometimes they're saying this will be a June launch. And then you talk to anyone who develops games, you bump into problems at the last minute and you realize, hang on, this thing we thought would take a week has taken us 4 months.
Yeah.
Now what? So now they've made it work, but all of that is patch, you know, because they've
Yeah,
done
that's fair
it
enough.
behind time or over time.
I mean, patches definitely have their benefits. You know, being able to fix things, but I think it's also made developers a bit lazier, and also it's made
Yeah.
publishers push things
Definitely,
out.
I think there are some,
because of it.
like Doug was saying, there are some now taking advantage of it. And then you get the guys that say like, well, we'll give it to you when we're ready, hang on.
And then you get
and then you get all the fans. Why is it delayed? Why is it delayed? Are we so entitled to play this right now?
yeah, and then you
Yeah.
wait 10 years and you get
There
to
is,
procurement.
Blizzard has, everyone jokes about it because you ask when a Blizzard game's going to be released.
Who cares?
It's called,
Really, who cares?
people just write soon, trademark, because it will be ready soon.
When we read.
When we are ready, and then they don't have to have like these mega patches. And sometimes even then with like Blizzard games, you have mega patches because they, like I said, getting the files through to people. If it's not through like a dedicated download launcher, they can't just change the files while, even if one person is still downloading and he's been using dial-up and he only connects every week or so, they can't like make everything he's downloaded pointless.
Irrelevant, yeah.
Well, there we have it, guys. Look, I mean, Half-Life 3 will be ready when it's ready. So
Yeah, well.
let us know what you think about patches and day one patches, how you feel about it. Does it affect your life in terms of you have good internet connection or not, and so forth. But yeah, let us know. Cheers, guys. See you next week.